The first time Elena told me to kiss her, it was not about love. It was about survival. Rain did not fall that night. It slammed against the hotel windows so hard the lobby doors rattled each time they opened. I was alone at a two-seat table in the hotel bar, eating a lukewarm club sandwich while my laptop glowed in front of me. The screen light made my hands look pale and tired. Soft jazz played in the background. Couples sat at small tables, talking in low voices and pretending they were not watching each other. I had been living like this for months. Fly in, audit, leave, clean hotel room, clean tie, clean exit. No photos, no drama, no one waiting on the other side of a flight. I finished my sandwich with one eye on a variance report and the other on the empty chair across from me. I told myself it did not matter that it was empty. My phone buzzed once. Unknown number. One line of text. Conference room. Now. EV. I should have ignored it. My contract was clear. My fee was fixed. My work was supposed to stay inside numbers. But my thumb moved on its own. I closed the laptop, pushed my plate away, and stood. The elevator smelled like expensive cologne and wet wool. When the doors opened on the penthouse floor, the hallway was almost silent. Thick carpet swallowed footsteps. The air conditioning hummed steady and cool, like the building itself was trying to keep tempers low. Elena Vance stood at the far end of the corridor. She was barefoot on the marble. Her satin gown clung to her like armor she had been wearing for hours. Her dark hair was still pinned, but loose at the edges, like the night had already taken a few swings at her. She did not look helpless. She looked trapped. "Caden," she said. My name in her voice sounded like a choice she had already made. Behind her, I could hear Julian Thorne's laugh, drifting from the open doors of her suite. It was the easy laugh of a man who was sure no one would ever stop him. Elena's fingers were tight around a black leather portfolio. The leather creaked under the pressure of her hand. Something shifted in my chest, in the space I had gotten used to keeping empty. I was not supposed to be in her orbit. I was a forensic auditor, the boring kind who tracks money and catches lies in numbers. I did not do parties. I did not do high-end politics. I definitely did not do billionaires like Julian Thorne, men who collected enemies the way other men collected watches. Elena ran operations for Vance Gallery Group. The board wanted her in the COO seat. Some of them also wanted her gone. Julian Thorne, private equity star and high-profile donor, wanted her signature on a deed that would give him control of the gallery's storage facilities and special collections. Earlier that week, she had hired me quietly. Not to audit the art, to audit the money behind it. The numbers were wrong. Shell companies with no real address. Shipping invoices that did not match travel routes. Consulting fees that landed on the same days as private flights. Someone was using the gallery to wash something dirty, and Elena, as the face of operations, was going to be the one to bleed for it when the truth came out. The board meeting that morning had been a knife fight in suits. Julian had leaned back in his chair like he owned the air in the room. "You're very thorough, Miss Vance," he had said with a lazy smile. "It is almost suspicious." Elena had lifted her chin and held his stare. On the surface, she was calm, cool, untouchable. Under the table, I had seen her knee bounce twice, fast. She had been counting exits even then. Now, in this hallway, I saw a different version of her. Her breathing was shallow. Her eyes kept cutting toward the open suite doors where Julian's voice came from, then snapping back to me like she was forcing herself to stay steady by looking at something solid. "You shouldn't be here," she said. "I got a text," I replied. "From you." I didn't send it. She lifted her phone. The screen showed the same message I had gotten. The tendons in her wrist stood out like wire. He did. A door closed softly inside the suite. Footsteps started toward us. Elena's eyes met mine. In one breath, her expression changed. Panic snapped down into something hard and focused, like someone closing a lid on a fire. She stepped into my space, grabbed the front of my jacket, and pulled me down toward her. "Kiss me. He's watching," she whispered. Each word was clipped and controlled. "Please." For half a second, I did not move. Not because I did not understand, because I did. completely. Then I lifted my hand to her jaw, slow and steady. I gave her time to pull away. She did not. Her fingers curled tighter in my lapel. "Then let's make it convincing," I said, and I kissed her. It was not gentle. It was not soft. It was a kiss built like a shield, meant to be seen. Elena rose up into it, met me halfway, matched my pressure. Her body pressed close enough that from a distance no one would see the fine details, the control in each move. They would see a guy claiming a woman who was answering him. A shadow moved in the doorway behind her. Julian Thorne stepped out of the suite and stopped, taking in the scene in front of him like he had walked into a show he had not paid for. Tall. Immaculate suit. The kind of good looks magazines liked. His pale eyes were empty at the center, like glass. "Well," he said, amused, "that's bold." Elena did not break away first. That was who she was. She held a line until it cut someone else. I pulled back only enough to look at Julian without giving him my full attention. My hand stayed at Elena's waist. Not for pleasure, for message. Julian's gaze dropped to my hand, then back up. He smiled like a man looking at a new piece on a board. "Mr. Cross," he said. "The hired help. Forensic auditor." "I count things," I said dryly. "People, too, if they stand still." His smile twitched. He held up his phone. On the screen, I saw a paused video. Grainy, dim, the kind of intimate shot that could ruin a career and a reputation even if it did not show much. A frame of Elena in a private moment she clearly had not agreed to share. Her breath hitched once, then evened out. Her fingers brushed the inside of my wrist. Warm. Brief. Steadying herself. "Tomorrow night," Julian said. "Auction. Final signature. You'll do what I ask, or I'll give the press something they can chew on for weeks." Quote. He tapped the screen once with his thumb to remind us it existed. I did not argue with him. I did not puff up my chest. Men like him love that. They feed on it. I did the only thing that mattered. I turned to Elena. "Do you want to leave?" I asked her. Her eyes flicked toward the open suite behind Julian, then back to me. She gave one sharp nod. Yes. We did not run. Running is loud. Running tells a man like Julian that he has hit his mark. We walked. We stepped past him and through the doorway into her penthouse like we had every right to be there. I kept half a step behind her, my body between her and the hall. Not dramatic. Just angles. Inside, the penthouse was perfect on the surface. Art on the walls. Candles that smelled like cedar. A bottle of whiskey on a sideboard that looked more like a prop than a drink. The kind of place meant to impress people who only glance. Elena locked the door, checked it twice, then rested her forehead against the wood for a single beat. When she straightened and turned back, I watched her put herself back together piece by piece. No big speech, no tears, just small actions. She adjusted the strap of her gown, smoothed the fabric, wiped a line of lipstick from the corner of her mouth with her thumb. When she faced me again, her expression was controlled, but her eyes were still too bright. "Marcus is on his way," I said. I called him in the elevator. "You called him," she repeated, one eyebrow lifting. "I don't like surprises," I said. "And Thorne collects them." Her mouth tightened, but there was something like relief under it. When Marcus arrived, he brought a backpack and the same look he always had when someone rich was about to have a very bad night. Marcus handled security and infrastructure for clients who thought money was the same as safety. If a system had a weak point, he could hear it like a mechanic hears a bad engine. "Okay," he said, dropping the bag on Elena's marble island. "Tell me we're not doing anything that puts me in jail." "Define we," I said. He snorted. "Never mind." Start at the top. Elena did not wring her hands. She did not pace. She opened her portfolio and spread papers across the counter. Shipping manifests, acquisition ledgers, corporate filings. "I have bad numbers," she said, "and now I have a threat." Marcus scanned the pages, then pointed to one line. "The video is leverage," he said. "But this is evidence." I showed him the pattern I had been tracking all week. Same shell companies, same banks, same shipping brokers, same days. Elena's jaw flexed. And the deed he wants me to sign gives him control of the storage facilities. Storage means inventory, Marcus said. Inventory means whatever he is hiding is sitting on your property. If we expose it, he goes down, Elena said. If we expose it with proof, I corrected. Not just suspicion. Marcus opened his laptop. Then we need his archive, his real records. He won't hand it over, Elena said. No, I agreed. He will guard it. Silence stretched for a moment. Then Elena looked at me. Her gaze was steadier now. You were close to him tonight, she said. Close enough to smell his cologne, I said. Why? Quote, because he likes to show off, she answered. He likes people to see what he owns. And he keeps a physical access key on his keyring, a little black hardware key for his encrypted files. Marcus's eyes lit. We get that key, we unlock the archive, but we still need a copy of the data itself. I can get the data, I said. Elena's gaze snapped to mine. How? There's a VIP preview cocktail tomorrow, I said. Before the auction, Thorne will be there. He will be distracted. He will want you at his side. If he brings his laptop or his drives, he brings his sins with him. Her eyes did not plead. They decided. Then we go, she said. Her guest room was the size of my entire apartment. I should have left. That is what I always did. Fix the numbers. Clean the trail. Fly out. But when I looked at the door, she did not open it. She did not ask me to stay, but she did not send me away either. So I stayed. I did not sleep much that night. Elena fell sideways onto the big couch in her living room, still wrapped in her blanket. Her hair was down now, dark waves against white fabric. Without the gown and the heels and the boardroom armor, she looked different. Not smaller, just real. Her phone sat on the counter in a bright orange case. It did not match her style at all. That told me it was a gift from someone who mattered, and she had not thrown it away. I walked into her kitchen and found an espresso machine that probably cost more than my car. It looked like no one had ever used it. I checked the buttons, the grinder, the water tank. The first cup came out too bitter. The second was a little better. The third was right. Elena watched me from the couch, her chin resting on her knee. You know how to use that? She asked. I read manuals, I said, handing her a cup. It is a problem. She lifted the cup, breathed in the smell, then took a careful sip. Her eyes closed for half a second. When she opened them again, she nodded once. Approved, she said. The thermostat on the wall read 78. Too warm, too soft. The kind of heat that makes you slow. I reached up and dropped it a couple of degrees. The air that came out of the vents turned cooler, cleaner. You hate heat, she said. I hate feeling slowed down. I answered. She did not tease me. She just pulled the blanket a little tighter and made space on the couch without looking directly at me. It was not an invite spoken out loud. It was an invite in distance. Around 3 in the morning, the penthouse finally went quiet. No more elevator sounds. No more voices in the hall. Just city lights outside the glass and a low hum from the building. Elena pushed herself up and went to the stove. She filled a kettle and set it on the burner. When it whistled, she dropped a chamomile tea bag into a mug and poured hot water over it. Steam rose in soft white curls. You are running on coffee and anger, she said. Try this. She slid the mug toward me. I took a sip. It was mild, clean, nothing loud in it. I did not make a joke, I just drank. At dawn, she opened a bottle of red wine. No speech, no toast, just 2 glasses, even pours. Coffee at 3, she said. Wine at 5. It is not 5, I said. It is close enough, she answered, and for the first time since the hallway, the corner of her mouth lifted. We sat on the couch with our glasses. The quiet between us was not empty. It was the kind where you hear the ice crack in the glass across the room and know the other person heard it too. Her gaze dropped to my hands. There was a small bruise across one knuckle from a flight and a door handle that had not wanted to move. You did not hesitate, she said finally. About what? I asked. In the hallway, between me and him. I set my glass down on the table. The sound was clean on the marble. "You did not hesitate to grab me," I said. Her fingers tightened around the stem of her glass, then relaxed. One controlled breath in, one out. "I chose," she said. "Good," I replied. "That matters." The VIP preview cocktail the next night was held in a restored brick warehouse downtown. High ceilings, exposed beams, lighting designed to make rich people feel like art. Elena walked in first. She wore a straight black dress with no glitter and no soft details. It cut clean lines and said, "I am here to work, not to entertain you. I came in later in a simple suit, the kind people expect auditors to wear. No shine, no flash." I blended into the edges and watched. Marcus sat in a van around the corner with his laptop open and an earbud in my ear. "I have eyes on Thorn," Marcus murmured. "Private office at the back. If his archive is here, that is where it lives." Julian moved through the room like he owned the floor. He did the rounds, shook hands, laughed with donors. Then he went straight to Elena. He touched her elbow in a light, public way, a claim disguised as charm. She did not flinch, but I watched her shift her weight, just enough to break his grip without making a scene. He smiled wider like he liked the resistance. His eyes found me across the room. There was a slow, sharp recognition there that I did not like. "Mr. Cross," he said when he finally reached me. "Still counting?" "Always," I said. He looked between me and Elena, then leaned in, voice low, breath full of expensive liquor. "Tomorrow night you will watch her sign the deed," he said, "or you will watch her burn." Then he smiled and walked away like he had just told a joke. Elena's eyes met mine from across the room. There was no fear in them now, just a steady question. I gave her a small nod. Now. I moved with the staff, not the guests. Through side doors and service halls. Less silk, more carts. The current of people was different there. Quieter, focused on work, not on wine. A service door led into a short hallway, and then into Julian's private office. It was staged, like a small throne room. Big desk. Tall chair. One abstract painting on the wall that probably cost a house. On the desk sat a thin laptop and a sleek, external solid-state drive. A small light on the drive glowed. Warm. Active. "Got eyes on a portable drive?" Marcus asked in my ear. "Yes," I said. "On his desk, plugged in." "Clone it," he said. "Partial is fine. I just need the skeleton and the names." I pulled a small device from inside my jacket. It was flat and black and looked like a travel wallet. It was a portable cloner, silent and fast when it worked, designed for nights exactly like this. I unplugged the external drive from the laptop, connected it to my cloner, and started the copy. A progress bar blinked on the cloner's tiny screen. Folder by folder, sector by sector. "Keep it to the top level, and any folder marked storage or transfer," Marcus said. "We do not have all night." Footsteps entered the hallway outside, fast, coming closer. I watched the numbers on the cloner move. Not done, not safe to stop. But I also knew what would happen if Julian walked in and saw me standing over his open archive. "Time?" I asked. "Too late," Marcus said. "Take what you have and get out." I cut the copy, yanked the cable free, and slid the cloner back inside my jacket. The external drive's light flickered in a strange way. Not steady. Not off. Caught between states. I stepped behind the door as it opened. Julian walked in, phone pressed to his ear, laughing at something only he thought was funny. He crossed the room and dropped into his chair. His fingers tapped the laptop keys. The drive light blinked once, twice, then stuttered again. "What do you mean it will not play?" he snapped at whoever was on the line now. "I sent the file." Check again. I did not need to see the screen to guess what had happened. Drives do not like being ripped out mid-write. If his precious video had been open, moved, or cached at that exact moment, the file could be damaged past use. I slipped out of the room when his back was turned and walked out the service door with a tray in my hands like I belonged there. Back in the van, Marcus took the cloner from me like a doctor taking a test sample. "Okay," he said after a minute, eyes moving fast over his screen. "We have a partial archive. We have encrypted containers. We have invoice trails. We have shipping logs. We have enough to see the shape." "Do we have proof?" Elena asked. She was on speaker, her voice tight but level. "Not yet," Marcus said. "I can see the encrypted vault. I can see the paths. But without the hardware key, the core files stay locked." "So we still need the key," I said. "The little matte black one on his ring," Marcus confirmed. "Without that, all of this is just a map with locked doors." "And the video?" Elena asked. I could hear the strain under her control. Marcus leaned closer to the screen. "I am seeing damage flags on one of his video containers," he said. "The one he tried to send you, most likely. The structure looks broken." "Which means?" she asked. "It means there is a good chance his favorite weapon does not work anymore," I said. I watched the city pass by through the front window of the van. Bright lights. Dark glass. Other people's lives. On the line, Elena inhaled once, sharp, then let it out slow. "Tomorrow night," she said. "The main auction. He will carry his keys because he is proud of what he owns." "Proud men put their crowns on display," Marcus said. "That is our window," I added. Elena did not sound scared when she answered. "Fine," she said. "I will walk into his show. I will give him the spotlight he wants. And while he is busy watching me, you take his key." Quote. The night of the auction felt like theater from the moment I walked in. The hall was a restored warehouse with brick walls, high ceilings, and spotlights aimed at paintings and sculpture. People in suits and dresses held thin glasses of champagne and talked too loud about legacy and heritage, while staff moved quietly around them, making sure nothing broke. Julian stood near the stage, right where the light hit him best. Elena stood beside him. Her dress was pale this time, not black. Simple, clean lines, no sparkle. From a distance, she looked untouchable, exactly the image he wanted the room to see, a living trophy, a symbol he thought he could own. I stayed in the crowd, just one more man in a suit, close enough to reach the stage fast, far enough to look unimportant. Marcus's voice came through my earbud from the van outside. "I've got the encrypted archive loaded," he said. "Screen's ready. The second I get that hardware key, I try to open it." "Copy," I said under my breath. The room quieted when Julian stepped to the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, smiling big for the cameras, "tonight we honor the past and sign the future." He gestured to a podium where a document lay framed under a small light. The deed he wanted Elena to sign. The one that would give him control of the storage facilities and everything hidden inside them. Then, because he could not resist showing off, he did exactly what we needed. He took his key ring out of his jacket and placed it right on the podium, next to the deed. The metal hit the wood with a heavy clink. Several people watched. None of them saw what I saw. A car key, a penthouse fob, a few other pieces, and clipped near the middle, small and plain, a matte black USB key no bigger than my thumb. My heart rate went up once, then evened out. Target in sight. Elena's gaze flicked down to the key ring, then up. She found me in the crowd. Our eyes locked for a second. "Now," her look said. "This is it." Julian turned toward her, his hand resting near the deed. His voice dropped, but the mic still picked it up. "Sign, Elena," he said. "Let's give our friends a show." Quote. She picked up the pen, held it above the paper, let the room feel the pause. Then she smiled at him, a small, careful smile, and leaned in like she was about to whisper something private in his ear. That was my opening. I moved with the staff flow along the side of the stage. One of the crew members stepped aside to let me pass, thinking I was one of them. I reached the podium from the angled side, not from the front where everyone was watching. I lifted my hand as if I was fixing the fabric of the podium cover. My fingers closed around the key ring. Cool metal. The USB key was warm from being in his pocket. I didn't yank. I didn't rush. I just picked the ring up, slid it into my palm, and let my hand fall to my side like I had done nothing. Julian was too busy drinking in Elena's fake smile to notice the weight vanish from the wood next to him. "I have it," I said quietly into the mic line. "Get outside," Marcus said. "Now." I walked off the side of the stage, down the small stairs and through a side door into the night. My heartbeat kicked a little faster as the cool air hit my face. The van door was already open. Marcus held out his hand. "Key!" I dropped the ring into his palm. He unclipped the matte black USB with a quick twist, tossed the rest of the ring onto the console, and plugged the key into his laptop. On the screen, the encrypted archive we had pulled from Julian's drive sat like a locked safe. A prompt blinked, waiting. The tiny light on the hardware key flashed once, then settled. Marcus hit enter. The vault opened. Folders appeared one after the other. Shipping logs, customs paperwork, high-value inventory reports, internal emails, contracts. "Talk to me," I said. Marcus's eyes moved fast. "I see special storage schedules," he said. "Private shipments rerouted. High-value items moved off books to third-party locations under shell companies." He opened one document and swore under his breath. "Elena," he said into the open phone line, "you on?" "I'm here," she answered. Her voice was tight but solid. "I just opened a file called Storage Transfer Vance Facility 3. Marcus said. "It's a crate list with dates and signatures." He zoomed in. His jaw tightened. "And?" she asked. "One of the signatures is yours," Marcus said, "except it's not. It's copied, pasted, dropped into place. Obvious if you know what to look for. Perfect enough for headlines if you don't." My hand clenched on the back of his seat. "He was going to pin it on you," I said. "Of course he was," Elena replied. Her voice was low and sharp now. "He moves stolen inventory or dirty cargo into our storage, then uses forged paperwork to make it look like I approved it. And if the feds come knocking," Marcus added, "you take the fall for his whole operation." "Not anymore," she said. She didn't sound afraid. She sounded done. "Can we prove it?" I asked. Marcus nodded, eyes still on the screen. "We have the original documents with clean signatures. We have the forged copies with reused digital stamps. We have log timestamps that don't match her login history. We have the money trail from storage to his shells." He gave a short, hard smile. "Yeah, we can prove it." Quote. On the line, I heard a short exhale from Elena. "Then we don't wait," she said. "I'm calling Rivera." "Rivera?" I asked. "Federal agent," Marcus said. "White collar, art crimes, shipping. We've crossed once. She does not like rich men who think laws are for other people." I listened as Elena's voice changed from careful to command. "Agent Rivera, this is Elena Vance," she said. "I have a decrypted archive from Julian Thorne's private storage. It contains forged documents with my signature and evidence of off-book transfers." Marcus clicked through files as she spoke, marking locations, copying hashes, building a chain. "We're at the Vance Auction Hall," she continued. "You will want to bring a team. Tonight." She hung up and came back on our line. "How long?" I asked. "They're close," she said. "We had already been talking before tonight. This will not be their first time hearing his name." Inside, the auction was still going. I could hear the muffled voice of the host through the walls, taking bids, building drama. Marcus handed me the key back. "Keep this on you until they get inside. It ties the archive to his device." I slipped the matte USB into my inner pocket. "Go to her," he said. "If he senses the mood shift, he won't stay calm." I went. Back inside, the energy in the room had changed just slightly. Not enough for the guests to name it, but enough that my skin picked it up. A few people checked their phones. Some looked toward the exits. Word of something always moved faster than truth. From the side corridor, I could see the stage. Julian still stood next to the deed, but his smile looked tighter, like it was fixed in place. Elena stood by him with her hands folded loosely in front of her, shoulders straight, face calm. I moved to the edge of the room where I could see clearly but stay out of direct light. Julian leaned toward her. mouth still in a smile for the crowd, voice low into the mic. "If you embarrass me," he said, "I embarrass you." He picked up his phone with a flourish, like a magician about to reveal a trick, and tapped his screen. He waited, still smiling out at the crowd, expecting something to happen on the big display screens behind them. Nothing happened. His smile stiffened. He tapped again, harder this time. Still nothing. I could almost feel the panic flicker under his skin. Some guests shifted in their seats. A couple of them checked their notifications, frowning when nothing new appeared. Someone whispered. Someone else laughed. A nervous little sound. Julian's thumb moved fast over the screen. Send. Resend. Forward. He stared at the phone like he could force it to obey. It didn't. The video he had held over her head for days was just broken code now, a corrupted container from a drive that had been pulled too fast. "Let him keep trying," I said under my breath. Elena turned her head slightly toward him, her smile calm and small, and suddenly not for him at all. "I am done letting you use me as a threat," she said, still into the mic, so the front rows heard every word. The doors at the back of the hall opened. Agent Rivera and her team walked in like they were early for a meeting. No rush, no shouts, dark suits, badges held just high enough to be seen. The crowd's noise dropped, then rose in a different way. Curious, nervous, hungry. Julian finally looked away from his phone and saw them. His smile cracked. He looked at Elena. At the cameras. At the guests, starting to lean away from him the way people step back from a fire that might jump. He took one step toward her, jaw tight, eyes wild in a way he could not hide now. I moved before he could reach her. I moved before he could reach her. Julian lunged toward Elena, anger finally winning over his fake charm. I stepped between them, caught his wrist, and turned it the way you turn a metal bar. Clean, controlled. No more force than needed. His phone slipped from his hand and hit the floor with a hard crack. He sucked in a breath, more from surprise than pain. Before he could twist free, two agents were on him. Hands grabbed his arms. Cuffs clicked around his wrists. The sound was short and final. "Julian Thorne," Agent Rivera said, her voice calm but loud enough to carry, "you're under arrest for fraud, money laundering, and possession of stolen property." The room went dead quiet. Julian's pale eyes jumped from her badge to Elena's face, then to mine, like he was searching for a trick, a loophole, anything. There wasn't one. Just planning, timing, proof. Guests began to shift back, creating space around him. The same people who had smiled at him an hour ago now couldn't move away fast enough. As they walked him out, his shoulder brushed mine. He stared at me with pure fury, like he still believed he should be the one winning. I didn't say anything. I didn't look away. When the doors closed behind him, the noise inside the hall changed again. Not applause, not shock, just low buzzing voices, people rewriting the story in real time. "He always seemed off," someone whispered. "I never trusted him," another agreed, pretending that had always been true. Elena stood on the stage, hands still folded, chest rising and falling in slow, controlled breaths. She did not wobble. She did not break. She faced the room like it was just another board meeting. "The auction is over for tonight," she said, steady. "Thank you for your support. The gallery will make a formal statement when we are able." She stepped away from the podium and walked toward the side door without rushing. I followed. In the private lounge, the world went quiet again. Thick carpet, velvet benches, soft lighting, no audience. Elena sat down on a low couch, back straight, hands linked loosely in her lap. She looked like she was waiting for another vote, not like she had just watched a man get arrested for trying to ruin her life. I loosened my tie and crossed to the small bar. My hands were not as steady as I wanted, but the glass did not show it. I poured water, dropped ice in. The cube cracked once, sharp. "The video," she said, watching the ice settle. "He tried to send it." "He did," I said. "It didn't land." "Why?" she asked. I sat down across from her, leaning forward with my elbows on my knees. I pulled his external drive too fast when I was cloning it. I said, if that file was open or being wrapped when I disconnected, the container can break. Damaged headers, bad structure, the system refuses to play it. Her eyes held mine, no drama, just a straight, searching look. So you knew? She asked. I suspected. I answered. Marcus confirmed when he saw the corrupted flags in the archive. Across the room, Marcus lifted 2 fingers from his laptop like a lazy salute, then went back to making sure our digital trail was clean. Elena's shoulders fell a fraction of an inch. Not a collapse, a release, like she had been holding air inside her lungs for hours and finally let some of it go. And the board? She asked. They'll try to protect themselves first, I said. They'll huff and posture. Then they'll decide the safest option is you, with proof in your hands instead of blood. Her lips tightened, but she nodded. She already knew that part. She always knew how people moved when power was at risk. Then her eyes slid from my face to my mouth for half a second, then back to the glass in my hand. And us? She asked quietly. That question landed deeper than the rest. My usual pattern rose up like a script. Fix the numbers. Clean the mess. Get on a plane. Go back to the quiet life of hotel rooms and spreadsheets and empty chairs. I looked at her and saw every moment I had tried not to name. Her bare feet on the marble. Her hand on my jacket. Her voice asking me not to leave. The way she held herself together even when everything was built to break her. We don't have to improvise anymore, I said. Her eyebrow lifted. Is that a retreat, Caden? It's a question, I said. Do you want this when no one is watching? She set her glass down carefully. The sound it made on the table was soft. She did not answer with words. She stood, took the glass out of my hand, placed it next to hers, and stepped into my space until there was no gap left. 3 days later, she stood at the head of a long boardroom table with certified documents in front of her. Julian was not in the building. He was in a federal holding facility, being processed. Headlines had run for 2 days straight. Art benefactor accused of laundering. Private equity star faces charges. None of them called him a genius anymore. The board tried once to make Elena their shield. These documents show your signature, one director said, tapping the forged printouts like they meant something. Elena did not raise her voice. They show copied digital signatures, she said. Not original. Here. She slid another file forward. Are the originals with timestamps, login logs, and Agent Rivera's report? I have already given copies to the authorities. The room went still. When men who are used to power smell liability, they move fast. The vote after that was short. She stayed. He was out. The gallery lived. Later that night, her penthouse did not feel like a stage anymore. The candles were unlit. The heels were gone. The armor was off. I stood at the espresso machine again, grinding beans. This time I got the shot right on the first try. Muscle memory. Elena leaned against the counter, barefoot, hair loose. Her orange phone face down on the island like she was finally done waiting for it to explode. You're still here, she said. I didn't get on the plane, I said. I changed my flight. She made a small sound at the back of her throat, almost a laugh, half disbelief, half something else. I handed her a cup. She wrapped both hands around it, warming her fingers in the rising steam. I walked to the thermostat and dropped the temperature a single degree without thinking. Habit. Control. Breathing room. She noticed. Of course she did. This time she didn't comment on it, didn't tease. She just watched me and nodded once. Quiet acceptance. We opened a bottle of wine, not because we needed courage, but because we finally had space. 2 glasses. Measured pours. We stood side by side at the counter, like people who had come through a storm and were now reading the weather report together instead of alone. To choices, she said, lifting her glass. I touched mine to hers. To consequences. She watched me over the rim as she drank. Her gaze was steady, her mouth soft. Not weak, never weak, just ready to let the tension ease. The void, she said after a moment. You look like you lived in it when I met you. I could have lied. I didn't. I did, I said. She set her glass down. Her hand moved toward me. not grabbing, not urgent, just real. I met her halfway, taking her by the wrist first, the same way I had in the hallway, giving her the choice again. She didn't pull back. Her fingers slid into mine, lacing them together. She stepped closer until her shoulder brushed my chest, until I could feel her breathing, and she could feel mine. The empty space inside me, the one I had been carefully keeping hollow for years, did something it had not done in a long time. It filled.